Good evening and a warm welcome to GRTS News at 2000 hours, broadcasting live for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. In the headlines this are: regional delegates met in Dakar for the 15th Annual Forum of Operatives for the Guarantee of Economic Emergence in Africa. Roads networks brighten in development prospects in rural Gambia. GRTS News examines the impact of a new 38-kilometer road scheme connecting major centers in the North Bank region. An unprecedented judicial advances versus the sluggish pace of justice delivery. A raging backlog of cases slows down judicial procedures in the Gambia's legal sector. Away from home, Nigeria experiences its worst coastal flooding in more than a decade, with nearly 1.4 million people fleeing their homes for higher ground. The first of 9,000 Russian troops arrive in Belarus as Minsk and Moscow set up a joint unit against mounting Ukrainian offensives. Well, that's the top of the news and much more coming ahead with me. Aissatou Keita, thanks for joining us. Well, it's great to have you here with us. We begin with a major forum of operatives for the guarantee of economic emergence in Africa, FOGECA, which is hosting its 15th annual forum and gala at the King Fahd Palace in Dakar. The international forum attracted scores of representatives, including Gambian delegates from both the public and private sector. As Rohibete reports, the Gambia's Minister of Communication and Digital Economy and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and Gambians Abroad are among the many dignitaries in attendance.
It is an annual event, but one that has stood out over the years, with each year proving more relevant as stakeholders in the private and public sectors of Africa gather to dialogue and exchange ideas on ways of strengthening the economic cooperation of the continent. The Forum of Operatives for the Guarantee of Economic Cooperation in Africa, FOGECA, held its 15th edition at the King Fahd Palace in Dakar, where it all started, attracting entrepreneurs and policy makers from far and wide. The president of FOGECA, Amadou Jan, hailed the process FOGECA has made since its formation, with only Senegalese at the start. Today, the body can boast of delegates from different parts of Africa. The gathering allowed delegates to discuss pertinent topics of relevance to Africa's development. There are many challenges in Africa, but whatever the difficulties may be, it is we Africans that will fix it, and we can only do it through trust and cooperation with the guidance of our governments to form public-private partnerships, he said. Mr. Jan further applauded the delegation from the Gambia, whose collaboration, he said, has been instrumental, while hailing His Excellency President Adama Barrow for providing the enabling environment. According to him, the objective is to promote the economic growth of Africa.
Notre objectif, c'est la promotion de l'économie en Afrique.
The Gambian delegation, among them the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Usman Ba, recounted on the significance of their participation in this year's forum and gala.
The purpose of this event is to really connect Gambian businesses and trade to help Gambia recognize the talent it has in terms of connecting and building this ecosystem in partnering and developing our own continent.
He further called for the need to embrace digital economy to ease trade facilitation.
But one thing that was missing that I didn't see is having a cross-border payment. I think it's important we address that, because when you look at the EU, if you have a company in the West and you have a license in the EU, you can operate in all the EU countries for one license. So I think it is important we African, we also start to look at that, even starting with the 15 ECOWAS member states.
The evening was punctuated with a gala night and musical performances from Senegalese, Malian and Congolese artists. Persons whose significant contribution in their line of work continue to inspire growth in Africa were awarded in various categories from commerce, medicine, development, cooperation, culture, among others, with AfriCell Gambia receiving the award on the category of telecommunication and the night. The late John Balogo Seka was also given a befitting remembrance award for his past contributions towards the growth of Foseka, an award his son, Wali Balogo Seka, received with pride.
Uncle Amadou Diagne, because of colore moy lepp te mi ngi sam colore bi.
Delegates are expected to return home with new ideas and connections aimed at improving the economic development of Africa. Rahibite, GRTS.
Moving on, traveling can sometimes be a challenge in rural Gambia, especially in districts where road conditions are not motorable. This limits the movement of people, goods and services, significantly reducing development impacts. For almost 55 years before the coming of Barrow administration, communities around the Sanjal district battled with bad roads. However, a new 38-kilometer road network connecting them to major growth centers is quickly brightening the region's prospects. Correspondent in the region traveled to Bambali to observe the impact of newly constructed roads.
There used to be a time when our elders would trek for kilometers to Njen Sanjal in order to access services such as health care. Then the road conditions were terrible.
Ni be futala Njen Sanjalo kata 10 seat ni noske ni pare de mura ne singol la kotanki fentam fostilo la kwale ya moto buka soto.
It lasted silently for decades. Today the light of development is shining over Bambali.
Bi alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
Today that discourse has changed. You can now go to Farafenni and come back that same day.
Ita fe kata no le somanda Farafenni tabiri joran sene na konton tabi.
This 38-kilometer stretch, constructed by the borough administration, now connects the entire Sanjal under one economic agglomeration. To understand the impacts of government's interventions, especially on the lives of people in Bambali and the rest of Sanjal, I visited Alaji Sware. And as we discussed, I learned that Bambali is an old settlement. The village is also blessed with a 6-month fresh water supply from the river Gambia. And during the PPP era, the community served as an epicenter of rice production in the region.
It's very difficult than before to travel from Bambal to Serakunda, because there is a vehicle. In fact, roads are not correct. The roads are very bad roads. Then we have it. So and the driver to come here is a very hard for them to come here. So for that being the case, we face it as a very difficult for us to travel. In fact, it contributes our survival very hard. It makes the survival very hard on us.
The local economy is highly dependent on farming and artisanal fishing. Decades down the lane, Bambali has now lost standards in rice production. The scars of rural-urban drifting and its impacts are visible on vital sectors such as agriculture and the fishing industry.
We want the government to put consideration to us on our area of the farming and also in the area of the fishing side, because though we have the crane here, electricity here, but that does not enough us in our fishing side. Having been when we could have cold fish here, that is going to help us lots.
If we are able to have a tractor or power trailer in our village for all our plowing services, that will accelerate our efforts in food production. If the community is supported with farm machinery such as tractors and power trailers, the human resource of Bambali can possibly feed populations both within and outside the North Bank. For the news, I am Famarakani.
The Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute, with support from the European Union Youth Empowerment Project, have graduated 84 students from the Basse administrative area after going through a 6-month training in bakery and hospitality. Modla Minsana reports.
A significant day in the annals of the Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institution as they graduate 84 students in Basse following an intensive 6 months of training in bakery and hospitality. The Tourism Skill Training Program, bankrolled by the European Union through its Youth Empowerment Project, intends to improve the tourism sector with highly trained personnel.
We are with the conviction that with the right training that you have, you will not only be job seekers but also creators of employment. Especially those that have completed the bakery program. Some of you, I understand, are already in business, but of course, this training will enhance your professional ability to be able to expand those businesses. For those who are not yet in business, I think you now have the required capacity to be able to establish one.
The tourism and hospitality training focuses on strengthening decentralization efforts, expanding tourism to create employment for young people in rural Gambia.
There is the strategic objective from the Ministry of Tourism that we have to decentralize tourism. And to decentralize tourism, we have to try as much as possible to take tourism activities outside the Greater Banjul area. To do this, you need to have the required human capacity in place, and you have to have the right investment. But the investors will not come and build hotels, restaurants, and tourism facilities in Basse, for example, or any part of URR if they are not sure of the human capacity.
Graduates were reminded their role in the development of tourism and hospitality as the sector moves to recover from the traveling downturn caused by the global pandemic.
We are from different areas, from different communities of this region. And then we have thousands of young people out there who are not fortunate to have this training that you have undergone. And it will be very unfair if you have this golden opportunity and you do not utilize it for the best of your opportunity and your people coming.
Indeed, a lot has been given by our tutors during the time we've interacted with them. It has been an interactive session and also a successful moment for both the students and the tutors during the course. Indeed, we are very grateful and very happy to go through this training.
Modulamin Sane reporting for Grts News.
While in a similar ceremony held simultaneously in Fanafenya on Saturday, presided over by the Director General of GTHI, Mr. Dauda Nyang, 55 students graduated in hospitality skills and 20 students graduated in professional bakery as officials moved to decentralize the tourism and hospitality sector. Moving on, the Gambia's judiciary is at prime moment witnessing a vibrant indigenization with transformations giving justice delivery, a Gambian phase that comes with a marked increase in the number of judges and magistrates. However, a raging backlog of cases is undermining the sector's work, contributing to the sluggish pace of justice delivery. Here's more. The judiciary witnessed numerous advances in numbers and capacity under a new dispensation, which has increased judicial support and indigenization, bringing in more Gambians to study the affairs of justice delivery. 7 years down the line, new and boarding lawyers have been called to the bar and sworn to serve as magistrates and high court judges, with more Gambians involved in the bench than ever before. This has minimized dependency on part-time judges and expatriate assistants, providing the Supreme Court with the number required to hear and determine cases coming before the apex court. A successful indigenization of the legal system, engaging more Gambian legal luminaries in the judiciary, credits one of the most important advances in the judicial reforms.
The process of Gambianizing the judiciary is going on. But when I say resources, time, energy, and resources, we need qualified and competent Gambians to fill those positions of foreign judges. We thank God recently 3 Gambian magistrates were promoted to become judges, but still not enough. And the reason is because the new generation now is very, very litigious.
Courts have been playing their role in ensuring the rule of law, adequately responding to matters amid efforts to effectively stifle impunity. But judicial reforms take a long time to initiate, and implementing them even longer.
Despite efforts to clear the backlog of cases still take too long to be completed. And our judicial officers at all levels still record proceedings by hand.
A historical backlog of cases remains a major challenge, with numerous unheard cases and adjournments delaying justice delivery.
Some sit in their offices as courts. Some wait for each other. You wait when one magistrate rises, another one goes in. In Brikama is the same. In Brusubi is the same. In Bundung is the same. So we have the human resource, but the infrastructure is not there.
Adequate funding has been a constant difficulty in the provision of legal aid and pro bono services to victims of human rights violations, with legal aid scheme facing the same problems that have always challenged the government's efforts to provide legal aid for citizens unable to afford it.
Whilst the number of courts and personnel, that is in terms of judges and magistrates, has increased, access to justice, particularly beyond the Greater Banjul area, is still a challenge. This is a collective responsibility for all of us to strive to ensure that all citizens of this country have access to the same quality of legal services and justice. When we speak about bringing justice to the doorsteps of Gambians, we mean all Gambians, regardless of where you live.
Case backlogs have a symbiotic link to prison numbers, in a trend putting more pressure on the country's jails as trials remain stuck and unheard.
This system of mechanical recording and transcription of court proceedings will, by replacing the handwriting of the judicial officers, expedite the trials as well as expedite the preparation of records for a process that currently takes a considerable period of time.
We decide, for example, to support the justice system, the judiciary, in improving their case management, in setting up what they call CATS, computer-aided transcript system. And we started, for example, supporting the judiciary to establish ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution System, a code-connected ADR. We supported validation workshop of the ADR rules, and now we are moving to another step of organizing trainings of judges, registrars, lawyers on how to use ADR.
For many, the possibility of selective justice, stifling rights, could hugely undermine gains made since the country regained its democracy under a new dispensation. Others see a lack of adequate capacity to deal with the influx of cases on a daily basis. But how exactly does the system work?
There are some cases that are difficult for the police. They cannot handle those cases. They refer them to the Ministry of Justice. and the criminal division will take charge of those cases, and then they'll prepare their charge sheet, or information rather. They take it to the court, they register it, invite the accused, give you a date that you are supposed to appear in court. Those that are bailable, the court will grant them bail. But those that are not bailable, they'll be remanded in custody. And then you start the process. That's the beginning of the process.
As government redirects its focus and investments towards the building of a strong and independent judiciary, the population, highly prone to litigation, is being bogged down by a seemingly slow justice process, which largely contradicts the judiciary's swift justice mantra that has always guided the operations of best judicial practice. Well, let's go with education. As School Press Day makes a racing return, introducing students to journalism and media engagements. Press clubs from the West Coast region convened in Laman's Jados Academy on Wednesday to discuss pathways to effective journalism. The event brought together press clubs from several senior secondary schools across Laman and West Coast to inculcate journalistic values in students planning future ventures in the media. Falilu Emel Janko.
A press club event inculcating journalistic values in students convenes young people planning future ventures in media work. Speaking at the occasion, the proprietor of Jados Academy, Lamen Wayeto, Madam Fatou Sissoko, advised students to keep up the hard work in order to become professional journalists they aspire for.
Championing, organizing, contributing, participating and involvement in doing whatever was necessary to support the school in building the great academic fortress and citadel of learning conducive enough to groom the next generations of problem solvers and achievers. Prepare to be better and strive to achieve the best and never settle for less.
Several dignitaries, including Abdullah Jawo of the Gambia Press Club and Ali Drame of Paradise TV, took turn to advise various school press clubs present about the ethics of professional journalism.
Journalism is more of something or somebody in charge of or that take the charge of sharing or disseminating information. So your job will more of have to do with gathering. First of all, you need to gather your information.
The role of journalists, civil society, teachers, parents and community in trying to making sure we combat the spread of misinformation. So we have a duty to expose so-called fake news, but we do not have the knowledge and skill to spot out and stop it in tracking it.
You as the young ones who want to venture into this field, please read. That's going to be my advice. Read as much as you can. Be focused. There is something that we are enjoying now because of democracy.
The event was characterized by drama performance and poetry by students.
Discipline is very important to be successful in life.
The school's karate club also displayed basic self-defense skills. Schools including St. Edward's Upper and Senior School of Biam, John Pickering Upper and Senior Secondary School of Daranka, and Lamen Daranka Lower Basic School, and host Jados Academy have established press clubs to promote journalism and robust culture of writing in secondary schools. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Falilu Emel Janko.
Well, International Open University and partners on Thursday inaugurate a new branch in Soma, Lower River region. The new IOU Center is meant to complement government's efforts in promoting access to higher education in rural Gambia. Our correspondent in the region has more on that in this development.
Lower River region of Jara Soma is the first region to have an IOU center outside the Greater Banjul area. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, pioneers of the education sector renewed their commitment to enhance tertiary education throughout the country. Officials of the Regional Education Office in Mansa Konko held the initiative, noting that it will play a huge role in developing education in the region. Chief Yaya Jajusi of Jara West described the move as a right step in improving education in the region. He noted that the existence of the university in the area will reduce rural-urban migration.
barisangal to le opportunity soto alla jamano la university soto ta Gambia jayalo kombo baraman na da wala fanan ñun ya kata ye extension o kenan kana santoto kalondo suti andalla ñin kamaral si alsi londo soto no ko mol men yalon ko be siring tubabu kundal to e ka soto nyama so bo kamala abe dahandiro kelala fananka bo mol bondi santo to be ta jurumi nyokan kombo momo ibe damento e sadati no binila primary education for a futa university.
Keba Dabo, Deputy Governor of LRR, also commended IOU for establishing a center in Lower River region while underscoring the importance of education in promoting socio-economic development.
Having the International Open University in this region is a blessing, a dream come true, and a celebrated achievement.
Dr. Bilal Phillips, the Chancellor of International Open University, said the center focuses on promoting Islam education. He spoke at length on the values of morality as prescribed in Islam.
The education in the IOU, the International Open University, is Islamized. And this is what we need to progress. The Muslim Ummah needs Islamized education because our education systems have come from our colonizers. And our colonizers decided that they didn't want to teach morality while teaching education. So they took morality out of education. Whereas Islamized education requires that morality be taught throughout the educational process.
Dr. Bilal used the opportunity to hail Gambians for supporting the establishment of the office in the Gambia. Usman Balde, GRTS News.
Man Balda takes us to our first pick. To stay with us.
You drop. Enjoy free calls every morning between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Pay for the first minute and the rest of your call is free. Nothing beats this. Let the conversation begin.
Double the data, double the fun. Only on AfriMoney.
Buzz Bundle. To enjoy the Buzz Bundle on AfriMoney, dial star 777 hash and double your data for as low as $10 and get 80 megabytes. And also receive 3 gigabytes of data for only $150. There's more. Just dial star 777 hash to find out.
All bundles are valid for 7 days. To cash in, visit our nearest AfriMoney agent.
AfriMoney. Send money anywhere, anytime. With AfriCell, you're never out of credit even if you're out of cash. Borrow up to $250 as credit with the AfriCell Caller Credit. Send a blank SMS to 152 to activate the Caller Credit. AfriCell Caller Credit, the solution for you.
To end the news, a look at our main stories once again. Regional delegates are meeting in Dakar for the 5th Annual Forum and Gala of Operatives for the Guarantee of Economic Emergence in Africa. Road networks brightening development prospects in rural Gambia. GRTS News examined the impact of a new 38-kilometer road scheme connecting major centers in the North Bank region. And unprecedented judicial advances versus the sluggish pace of justice delivery. A raging backlog of cases is slowing down jurisdictional procedures in the Gambia's legal sector. Away from home, Nigeria is experiencing its worst coastal flooding in more than a decade, with nearly 1.4 million people fleeing their homes for higher ground. The first 9,000 Russian troops arrived in Belarus as Minsk and Moscow set up a joint unit against mounting Ukrainian offensives. Well, that was all we had time for the news at 2000 hours. Do join me again at 2200 hours for more news and updates. Until then, I am Isatu Keita and thanks for watching.
We are the office. Our work involves a lot of things, and we are guided by several domestic and international laws, standards and foundations. We inform and guide citizens on the use of government resources through simplified and citizen-friendly audit reports, providing independent and professional services on economic, efficient and effective use of the country's resources. We are a fairly balanced workforce of more than 100 staff, paving the way in national development. Our core values are integrity, professionalism, teamwork, accountability and relevance. We plan, we perform, we report. We help the government to spend wisely. We are the National Audit Office, the supreme audit institution of the Gambia.
Enjoy the coolest SMS service in the Gambia for $5 is only. Oh yeah, 250 SMSs for just $5. To get your very own 250 SMS, type SUB and send it by SMS to 7050 for $5 is only, valid for 1 week. AfriCell SMS Express. More than you need.